What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So the numbers are in. We're going to take a look at the CPI scores, so the inflation for November. Now, it's important to focus on this, especially if you're living on a fixed income, if you're retired, receiving Social Security. I always like to look at these numbers because they are good indicators, so you'll know what's going to happen in the future when it comes to the cost of food and things like that. So we're going to focus on that in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification, clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers today. So, news release. Now, this came out yesterday. I'm posting it today, but this is December 12th. Now, this information is for November, so they're a month behind, basically. You have to gather the information in November, and then in December, they release the numbers, so we'll know what's going on in November. So, in January, we're going to get the information for December. So overall, when it comes to year-to-date inflation or CPI scores 3.1%. Now it's up 0.1% if you're looking month to month. So what does that mean in the big scheme of things? So what they're doing is they're just, think of it as a shopping cart. You have a shopping cart and you have all these different items that you put in the shopping cart. Okay, so that's what the CPI score is. Now, when I say shopping cart, I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about all the different categories they put in the shopping cart, and then they get an average of that. So the average right now, overall, is 3.1%. Now, we know with the COLA increase that will be happening this month, at the end of this month, the COLA increase is 3.2%. So right now, overall inflation, including food and energy, is at 3.1%. Okay, so if we're taking out food and energy, and what economists like to do is they like to look at what they call core inflation. Core inflation right now is 4%. So when we're looking at our overall here from month to month, we can kind of see what's been going on in the since November of last year. Now understand, this is month to month. So month to month, last year was 0.2% increase, and then it dropped back down in December to 0.1%. Then in January, it went up to 0.5%. And then February, it went down a little bit to 0.4%. March, it went down to 0.1%. April, it went up to 0.4%. May, it went down to 0.1%. June, 0.2%, July, 0.2%, August, 0.6%, September, 0.4%. There was no change in October, and then we see a slight uptick to 0.1% in November. So that's what we're looking at month to month, and I just want to show you that so you can kind of see the pattern right now. And when we're looking at this pattern, obviously this is a good sign because it's going down here. We have a slight little uptick here. We'll have to see what happens in December, but for the most part, things look pretty good when it comes to inflation. And it looks like the Federal Reserve was able to get inflation under control, and now we're hoping that it continues to decrease. Okay, so like I was saying before, when we're looking at core inflation, they're looking at core inflation right here at 4%, okay? And then when we're looking at overall inflation, it's at 3.1%. Now, the reason they like to use core inflation is because they like to take out food and energy, because food and energy is very, it's very volatile. It goes up and down, up and down. So to get kind of a, overall read of the core inflation, they take out food and energy. However, food is very, very important because we all need food. So when we're looking at food, when we look at food at home, and if we just kind of go back, we'll say here, food at home, in May of 2023, we saw it at 0.1%. In June, it didn't change. In July, it went to 0.3%. In August, it was at 0.2%. In September, it was at 0.1%. In October, it was at 0.3%. In November, it was at 0.1%. Okay, so we see it kind of, going down a little bit, and that's good. Now, overall food at home. Now, when I say food at home, what I'm talking about is groceries. When you go to the grocery store, you buy grocery items. That's what we're talking about here. Overall, it's 1.7%. That is good. That is well below that 3.2% COLA increase. Now, I'm saying that's well below that COLA increase. However, people are still not feeling it. Okay, stores, I don't know if some of the stores might be dropping prices, but not all the stores are dropping prices yet, and people still aren't feeling it. I was just at the grocery store yesterday and spent over $100. Once again, only had a few items, but spent over $100. So it's not, we're not feeling it yet. And we're just looking at one category. We're just looking at food. There are other things that you have to pay for, like shelter and things like that. So just because inflation when it comes to food at home is at 1.7% doesn't mean that everybody is, rejoicing and everyone's happy and we all have just so much money in our wallets. It's a good sign that food is going down, but we do have other expenses. As well as you do have the CEO of Walmart has already indicated that in 2024, they will be reducing prices on food items. So we'll have to see if that actually happens. But that is what he is saying. That's his anticipation. So just looking at overall, I want to just read some of this stuff here when it comes to food. So the food index rose 0.2% in November after rising 0.3% in the previous month. The index for food at home increased 0.1% over the month after rising 0.3% in October. 4 of the 6 major store food group indexes increased over the month. The index for cereal and bakery products rose 0.5% in November after rising 0.2% in October. The fruits and vegetables index increased 0.3% over the month, and the non-alcoholic beverages index rose 0.5% in November. The index for dairy and related products increased 0.1% over the month. The meats, poultry, fish, and eggs index decreased 0.2% in November, as the index for pork, chicken, and beef all declined. The index for other food at home fell 0.1% over the month. So just looking at this, the bottom line when we're looking at this information, food prices should be coming down. And we have indicators here that are showing us that food prices should be coming down. So this is one of those things we're going to have to keep watching and paying attention. And I like when you guys in the comments let me know if you think food prices are going down, if you had some experiences going to the grocery store, buying items and seeing that food prices are coming down. I haven't seen it yet. I'm being completely honest with you. Every time I come back from, trips that I go on, prices look like they're about the same. They haven't really changed. And like I just said, I went to the grocery store just yesterday and I didn't see any real change in prices. And I like to go to Costco. So I'll do my Costco run and then I'll do the regular grocery store run. And in both places, prices were pretty much the same. So we'll have to see what happens in the future. There was something interesting that happened to me when I was at Costco. This is the first time that I've seen this. I actually went to a different Costco than I normally go to. And they have a kiosk outside now for the food. You know how they have the food that you can buy, the little kind of like snack bar where you can buy pizza and hot dogs and things like that. So they now have a kiosk. And so I'm sure you can just go up to the counter and still purchase things, but they have this kiosk that you can go to and all you need to do is just punch in what you want, pay for it right there. It prints out the receipt and then you go over to the pickup window and then you just pick up your order. And so we're constantly seeing this, right? We're seeing this phase out of employees. We're constantly seeing this. So people who are cashiers, they're starting to phase those positions out. And I would say in 10 years from now, we're not going to see very many cashiers. And it's going to be unfortunate because you're not getting a discount. And that's the real problem that I have when it comes to self-checkout and things like this. They're not giving you a discount. You're actually working for the store because you're doing what the store used to, cashiers used to do this. Now you're actually doing it and you're not getting a discount. I would say, and I heard someone say this, I can't remember who it was someone I was watching a YouTube video, and they were saying, you should pay me, or you should give me that 15% discount that you give your employees, or whatever you give your employees as far as a discount, you should give me that discount in order to use this self-checkout, because you're doing all the work. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is pretty much watch you to make sure you're not doing anything, you're not stealing anything, or you're not, you don't have any issues when it comes to using the cash register, but you're doing all the work. And with the fact that things are so expensive at the grocery store, not only are they more expensive, but you have to go in there and actually purchase your own items. A couple of days ago, I went to a drugstore, and there was no one behind the counter at all. No one was behind the counter. They have, at the very, very front, they have 2 self-checkouts. But they don't even have people working in the back anymore, working behind the registers. So, I mean, I'm sure if you requested it, they would come behind the counter. But what they normally do, the drugstore that I go to, what normally happens is if you go up there and you're waiting, then a person will come. They won't come from behind the counter. They'll actually come from the floor. So they either are stocking shelves or whatever. And they say, oh, I can help you, sir. And they'll take you over to self-checkout. They don't even they don't even use the cash registers anymore. They'll take you over to self-checkout, and then they'll walk you through how to do it, and they'll actually do it for you. They can swipe their little card, and and the machine, the machine recognizes them and lets them do whatever transaction. But it's just, I mean, it's really crazy, and I can only imagine. I don't work for a retailer or anything, but I can only imagine right now what the CEOs of these companies are saying is, look, we want you guys to use the self-checkout. So talking to the employees, we want you to use the self-checkout and try to encourage the customers to use self-checkout. That way, in the future, 10 years down the road, we won't need cashiers anymore, and we can rake in all of that money because we're not paying these cashiers anymore. And one of the major gripes that I have when it comes to this whole self-checkout world is we have less employees. You have less employees, less people on payroll. That's less people paying into the payroll tax. And guess what? That's less money for the Social Security Administration, which means that your benefits could be affected because of that. And so that's one of the biggest gripes that I have. And I know the argument is, well, they're just going to shift jobs from now, you have all these self-checkout machines. So you're going to have people that sell the self-checkout machines and people that create, build these self-checkout machines. But the reality is a lot of those people aren't in the U.S. They're in other countries. So that's still not going to help when it comes to the payroll tax. If you have someone building a machine in another country, they're not paying into our payroll tax. So we know that cashiers are physically in the country and they're paying into the payroll tax. But we don't know where all these machines and all these other jobs are coming from. We don't know if they're all in the U.S. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. So when it comes to CPI score, 3.1% when it comes to overall, and it's going down. That's good. It was 3.2% the previous month. So hopefully we'll continue to see it drop. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.